Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome to Gnan Cloud Garage. So in this session, I'm going to talk about Zerto 9.5 solution architecture, recovery options, and VPG, virtual protection group methods. Okay, so here is the agenda. So the first we quickly recap Zerto 9.5 solution architecture. So if you have the architecture in your mind, it's easy to understand all the concepts. Okay, so what are the Zerto 9.5 most common recovery operations and how to replicate virtual protection group and how to remove unused virtual protection groups and how to create a virtual protection group. Okay, so now let's start with the architecture first. So Jetto 9.5 solution architecture. As we are aware, within the solution architecture, it minimally required a two sites. So production site, disaster recovery site. Some organizations may use active site and standby site. Any naming convention is fine. Primary site, secondary site, active site, passive site, production site, DR site, disaster recovery site. Any naming convention is fine, but the concept is same. Let's say in within our production site, the requirements for the 9.5 Zerto architecture is we must have a one management software that is ZVM, Zerto Virtual Manager. This ZVM can be run on any of the Windows server. So same like our vCenter allows to manage multiple ESXi hosts. vCenter is a management tool. Similarly, ZVM also to manage all the VREs. To manage all VRA means virtual replication appliances. To manage all the VRA appliances, it requires a ZVM. So ZVM only taking care of all within the site VRAs. And VRA means we have to install virtual replication appliance on each ESXi host. If you have 100 plus ESXi hosts, all the ESXi hosts must install with a virtual replication appliances. How to install VRA we talk about in our previous class. Okay, so the same scenario applicable in the DR site also. We should have a management tool ZVM and we have a VRA must be installed on our ESXi host. And normally all the virtual machines stored in our data store, and data store means virtual machine data is stored on a virtual disk format .vmdk. So in short form, you can also say vdisk. But when we use the ZVM, what it will happen is it will establish the continuous replication between production site and disaster recovery site. But how it will replicate continuously means we have to create based on the existing production VMs, we need to create a virtual private group. So when you create a virtual protection group, sorry, when you create virtual protection group, this group automatically start replicating to the nearby site, which is disaster recovery site. But once it is replicated, what it will happen is this data store consists of the replica of our production VMs, and also there will be a journals. Journals means the specific point in times, all the information. Suppose if you add any checkpoints, all the journals, whatever the changes we did it in our production VM, all the changes is continuously replicated to the disaster recovery site. That means continuous replication. In other words, we can say continuous data protection. In case of any disaster or any of the interruption happen in our production VM, we can quickly recover the VM from the disaster recovery site. Normally, if you are using a traditional backup tool, what it will happen is traditional backup tool, we can take the backup only after office hours. Let's say you start the backup evening 7 p.m. onwards until the morning 7 a.m. During this time, let's say your actual production VM backup is took on around 8 p.m. and it's completed by 9 p.m. But user complain on the morning hours around 8 o'clock. They say the virtual machine having some issues, they want to restore. But based on the traditional backup, we can able to restore only the based on the last successful backup. That means which is the last night backup. But there is a time difference. The backup was completed last night 9 p.m. until 9 p.m. to until the next day morning 8 a.m. that there will be a data loss. But when you are using a journal mechanism and when you enable a continuous replication option, what it will happen is, even though if your issue is started on morning 8 a.m. also, before 8 a.m., like until the 7:50 a.m. data is continuously successfully replicated to DR site. So that healthy condition state checkpoint we can able to recover. That means the data loss will be very minimal. That is the importance of Zerto 9.5 solution architecture. Okay. And as I mentioned, ZVM means Zerto Virtual Manager and VRA means Virtual Replication Appliance. So now let's talk about what is the recovery options available in Zerto. So what are the Zerto 9.5 most common recovery operations? There are four recovery operations are available. So first one is journal file level restore. Even the file level, if you want to restore, we can able to restore. That is the first method. And the second one is move. Move also one of the option to recovery option, and failover test and failover live. So in short form, FOL, failover test means FOT. Suppose these four options, if you want to use, let me log into our hands-on lab system and I will show you these options. Let's say when we connect to our Zerto server, let's say within our dashboard also, we can see the health status. What is a virtual production group health status? Let's say currently two virtual production group status is red green color, and that means normal condition, and one is showing us error message. And even the site topology, if you see the site topology, we have a production site, DR site, and the two outgoing VPGs, that means two groups, virtual production groups are moving to the DR site. And if you want to see the virtual production group from the Zerto homepage, you can left side select the VPG and you can see the virtual protection groups here. And before jumping to the VPG concept, let's understand the recovery options. So in our slide, we talk about the first point, journal file level restore option. So journal file level restore means within our Zerto console in the below, you can see this is a production site. Under the production site, we have a three options, failover, restore, and move. If you select a restore option, under the restore, you can see the restore options. See, this is the name I'm trying to explain. File journal file level restore means we have to choose the file option. Using this file, whatever the production VMs you have, this is our test lab. So currently it is showing only the four VMs. So these four VMs we can plan to create a we can, if you want to create any of the file you want to restore from any production VM, select that VM, choose the specific point in time, and we can start doing the restoration. So example, select that VM, click on next, and these are all the journals. So journal means it will have all the point in time. So see the source journal. So suppose the user complained that the first checkpoint level, the user complained the system was having some unexpected errors message. So we no need to wait for a complete full backup. You can use the most recent healthy journal, select the journal and click on mount, and it will, the last point will be a restore. Okay. So I'm not doing the restore now because it may take some time, but we identified how we can verify, how we can do the journal file level restore. Okay. So let me cancel this and back to the slide. Another point is move. So move also we have another restore option. So if you want to using the move means, again log into the handsome lab system. Within the Zerto console, you can see in the below the restore option, you can see the tab for move. In the right side corner, if you select this move, we have an option to VPG. Even Zerto is providing a restore options, like you can move the entire virtual protection group. For example, here CRM consists of two VMs and file server remote consists of one VM. If you see VPG in brackets hash VMs means VMs count. So CRM have two VMs and the file server remote VPG consists of one VM. If you want to move these VMs to any of the destination location, like peer site means our nearby site is disaster recovery site. If you want to restore it to the nearby site, you can choose the either one or multiple VPG groups and you can click on next and start move. That is also one process of recovery operations. Okay. So let me show you the another option now. And another point what they are mentioning is file over test, sorry. and F40. So failover test means this failover test also log into the Zerto console. Again, there is another option for failover. If you select the failover, you can see two options: failover test, failover live. If you want to test the failover test, you can select the failover and choose the file server remote and click on next. And if you want to see the failover, click on next, it will start restoring. Generally, failover test is quick, fast. If you want to verify this one, let me select the DRV center. Sorry, back. Let me open in the another tab. Let's say in our DRV center, what are all the VMs are exist at present before we restore. Click on advanced and proceed. So when you select here, administrator at the rate vSphere.local. See, if you see in our disaster recovery vCenter, currently, if you want to replicate either in the journal file level replication or move method, or if you are using a failover test or failover live method, currently there is no VMs. Once if I select this option, select this one next and all, the failover automatically initiate the VMs to the next machine. So let's click on next, see start replicating from production to DR site. So start failover test, and once I click on finish, it may start the progress. In the right side, you can see the current running task. When you click here, you will see current running task in progress 16%. If you want to verify this failover test, log into the DRV center and we can see the failover testing recovery VM is already created. It may take some time to power on. Okay, see already it is power on is in progress. Okay, so that much fast we can able to restore it to the DR site. Now let's talk about the another point. So how to replicate virtual protection group? So if you want to replicate virtual protection group, how we can replicate is generally we have a two types of replications. See, currently it is showing two types of replication. One is you can replicate it to disaster recovery site. You can replicate it to production site. That means two types of replication. Either you can replicate it locally or you can replicate it to remote. Remote means any nearby site or disaster recovery site or secondary site. That is the point I'm showing you from the slide. So how to replicate means we can replicate in two ways. One method is in local replication and another method is in remote replication, which is nearby site or disaster recovery site. Okay, hope you clear about this question. Now let's go to the another point. How to remove the unused virtual protection group? Suppose if you want to remove this protection group, unused protection group. If you see in this virtual protection groups tab, we can see three are available, three protection group, but one is showing as whole history not meeting the SLA. That means there is some error message. Suppose maybe we think that this is unused. If you want to remove, select that unused virtual protection group, and in the right side you can look for a remove option, or you can just go to the actions. Within the actions we have an option for delete. So when you click on delete, it will remove the unused virtual protection group. In the right side, you can see the progress is task is in progress. And even earlier, we initiated the failover test. See this file server. In the right side, you can see testing failover. If you want to see this result, click on here. You can see that test result is success. Even test result success means if you go to the DRV center, our VM is failover testing recovery VM is already powered on. And if you see 2012 VM, it is power on state. Okay, and if you want to stop the replication also, there is a button for stop button. When you click on stop, it will automatically remove the file server remote VM from the DRV center. So within some time, see already power off. So it may take a while. Within few seconds, it will remove this VM also. See, VM is already removed. So that is how we can do the failover recovery. And we can also, if whenever the recovery option is not needed, you can immediately stop the replication so that it will remove from the disaster recovery site. And even remove the VPG option, it's a straight away option, select the VPG and remove. Even if you want to remove this existing also, we can just select, either you can select one VPG or select multiple VPG options and go to the actions tab. We can look for a delete option. Okay, so just for testing purpose, I'm first selecting the failover remote option, and now you can select delete. So this delete is in progress now. So in the right side, you can see running task deleting is in progress 72%. See, once it reach, so it's already completed. And same way, even if you want delete another VPG also, select and delete option. And here I'm trying to explain some other options. Even if you want to edit this CRM VM in future, currently there are two VMs. If you want to add any additional VM, there is an option to edit VPG and you can include the additional VMs or remove the VMs. And if you want to pause the replication any during the maintenance windows, you can use the pause button. And if you want to add the checkpoint, we can add, we can copy the settings. And if you want to do force sync, you can do the force sync. And if you want to prepare your offsite clone, all these options are available in the new VPG in the actions tab. Okay. And if you want to export these details, we have option to export it to the information. You can export it into the CSV format. Okay, in the below you can see CSV report is generated. Okay, now so we understand that how what is the replication methods. We have two methods, local and remote. Local means it's a existing vCenter, and remote means any nearby vCenter which is the disaster recovery site. That is the first point. And second point, we know we have verified how to remove the unused virtual protection group. For testing purpose, we removed two virtual protection groups. Okay, so now let's understand the another point, how to create a new virtual protection group. Okay, if you want to create a new virtual protection group also, the method is simple. Just log into the lab system. So here how we can do it is, we have multiple methods. Let's say even if you want to show it quickly, let me remove this one also. We'll do it one by one. Let's select here and delete. So we can create it freshly, all the VPG groups, virtual protection groups. So this delete is in progress. In the meantime, I will create another one. So I am selecting as a remote DR, or you can create as a local continuous backup or data mobility. Three options are available. Suppose VPG type, if you want to create it a local, you can choose local option. For remote DR, disaster recovery and continuous backup, you can use the remote option. Let's say VPG name, I'm choosing the file server remote, and the priority, if you want to set high, low, medium, anything you can keep. Let's say for testing, I'm choosing a high priority. Now click on next. And VMs, we have to choose VM, see unprotected VM, or if you want to choose a one to many, if you want to choose, click on select VMs. Here it is showing as already protected. Just drop down menu, select all VMs. You will find all the list of VMs. Suppose I'm selecting a file server, click on OK. So when you select the file server VM, so VM is selected. Now click on next. Now the next option is replication. So replication, which site we want to replicate. You can replicate DR site or production site. Let's say I'm selecting the DR site. When you select the DR site, we have to choose the recovery servers. So which ESX host you want to. You can choose a specific ESX, or you can choose a complete cluster. So better we can choose the cluster. And data store also, whatever the available data store you can select. And SLA general history 1 day. So you can, if you want to increase, you can increase. And target RPO alert 5 minutes, and the test reminder is 6 months. Okay, so now click on next. And the storage, if you want to modify any of the storage settings, just select this option, and then the right side you can see edit selected. When you click on edit selected, all these options can be modified. Suppose volume source, if you want to modify, either you can store it in the data store location, RDM location, or preceded volume. Data store means it's completely created a new copy of replication, and RDM means if you have a raw device mapping, you can use RDM. Or if you have any previously copied replication copy, that time you can use preceded volume, and that means already there is existing disk. It will going to update the whatever the changes happened on the production VM. So if you select a preceded VM, for example, and the data store, we have only one data store, so let's keep it that default data store. And the volume sync settings, you can also use the default, and the path can be modified. Let's click on browse. Suppose I am choosing the specific data store, and the data store name is like a VM3007, and our server name is file server 0.0.0.0.1.vmdk. So select that virtual machine disk file, click on OK. So that's how we can edit these settings. And thin disk one, now we no need to edit because it's already selected existing preceded option. Even if you want trying to select also, it will show you the error message. The thin provisioned method for the preceded volume cannot be changed. Okay, that means it's already existing copy. So click on next. Now the recovery options. You can choose the virtual machines network. So failover move network is VM and failover test network is VM. And here default recovery option, you can choose any of the directory. Let's say choose the root directory. Now click on next. So even the network options are selected. So let's leave it as it is. And the long-term retention. For long-term retention, we can use for a archival purpose. If you have any existing target repositories, you can use this option. So this target repository, I will show you. And now click on next. And this is the settings we did it until now. So replicating from production to DR site, and the VM name is we selected as file server remote, and the type also remote DR and continuous backup, and the replication is Zerto Labs DR cluster, the replication location information, and recovery is network also selected, and long-term retention not configured. I will show you how to configure long-term retention. So now click on done. So once you click on done, it will start creating a virtual protection group for the file server. In the right side, you can see running task creating VPG is in progress. Okay, see it's already showing us creating VPG 5%. So it may take a while to finish. It's currently protection status is initializing, and so it's going fast. See syncing is in progress now. So that much fast we can configure using Zerto. Now yeah, delta syncing is in progress. In the meantime, I will show you long-term retention. So within the long-term retention, you can configure it is showing earlier we have to choose a target repository. So currently there is no target repository. So if we do not have target repository, to configure a target data store or target repository, the option is we need to select the setup, and under the setup tab, right side, you can look for a repositories. If you see here repository, no repositories. So here, if you want to configure, click on new repository, and here you can enter any of the name. The storage type, you can choose network storage. We have multiple options. So you can choose a cloud storage. See AWS storage gateway, AWS S3, Google Cloud Storage, and Microsoft Azure storage, S3 compatible storage. S3 compatible storage means one example is suppose if you want to configure a Skeleti Ateska and Skeleti ring, that while configuring that option, we can choose S3 compatible storage. And even we also have a network attached storage options and proposed built backup appliance, like you can use a EMC data domain, Exagrade, and HPE store ones, and other decoupled storage appliances also available. So depends on your customer requirements, you can choose the respective storage here. So the repository will be targeted data store. And the connection type, we have two connections. You can use either NFS or SMB. Okay, and when you select any of the option, for example, if I'm selecting S3 compatible storage, we need to provide a region information and also the specific Skeleti URL. Like if you are using a Skeleti attest URL or ring URL, and the specific bucket name, S3 bucket name, access key, and secret key is required, and immutability also we need to configure. Immutability means it's a data immutability is nothing but a once we enable this option, it cannot be edited by anyone. Okay, until unless you have a proper authentication mechanism. Okay, and the data backup immutability, we can also call it as it's like a complete life insurance policy to our backup. Okay, so hope you clear about this point. Now click on cancel. So let's back to our VPG. We can see our file server VPG meeting SLA syncing is already started. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to explain. So how to create VPG group also we verified, and we verified the both options. How we can prepare VPG in local, how we can prepare VPG in DR site. It's a simple only. Suppose if I go back here for if you want create another VPG also same method. This time instead of remote, I am choosing a local continuous backup, and you can choose the any of the name. Let's say CRM and medium priority because it's a local only. So choose our CRMs VMs here and click on next. It will move it to the selected VMs. And now you can choose the site is production site. That means local replication only. So you can choose better cluster and data store, whatever the data store available, you can choose. Click on next. And here, if you want to modify, you can modify the settings or else leave it as blank. And long-term retention present, we do not configure the target repository. So leave it as blank. So click on next. And this is the summary. We are configuring within the production site only. There is no DR site interaction. So click on done. So within few seconds, it will also complete the production group. See, we observed production group can be created within the production site. That means local, or you can create in a remote. Okay. Hope we are clear about these 2 points. So that's it for today. If you are watching this video first time, please subscribe. And if you are already subscribed, thanks for your support and encouragement. Bye for now.